Hello and welcome everybody. I thought I would do one of these. I usually do Instagram only and I do daily sketches, so I post daily sketches on my Instagram account. And I thought I would start doing a series of videos. Now these are going to be sped up. They're not real-time videos, obviously, because they could take me quite a while. But they're still from my daily sketchbook. I keep a daily sketchbook. This one that I'm working on right now is my sketchbook number 12. And I go through about one every 2 months maybe, or maybe a month and a half. Really depends how busy I get. And what you can see me drawing here is the Green Arrow, one of my favorite characters. And I already did the pre-sketch, the pencils and the loose pencils before I started recording. I figured I'd try it just with the pens at first and see what we do, see where we go from there. So what you can see me doing here is going over it with a very simple, I think it's a 0.3 black and white liner, a black liner pen. Nothing fancy, no thick and thins yet. But once I get all the lines down that I want to get, I make sure I erase all the pencil marks underneath before I drop down any thick and thin brush pen. And I do have a Pentel pocket brush, which is this thing. I got it for pretty cheap at one of those penny sales or something. And I'm still learning how to use it. I'm not very good at it, as you can probably tell. It requires a lot of concentration for me to actually be really good with this pen. Also, what you'll notice is that video is sideways, and I actually didn't know it would turn out this way. I recorded it. I thought I had set it up to be vertical, and I guess when it transfers to the computer, it changes to horizontal. So for the next one, I'll make sure that it's set up horizontal, and then it'll transfer vertical maybe? I don't know. We'll see from there. Anyway, so back to what I'm doing here. I'm basically adding thickness and thinness everywhere I go. I like to do a very thick outline of the whole drawing and then go back and add a little bit of thick here and there where I can see some cast shadows or some marks between any specific points, like where the mask is sitting on the face. Next I'm going to start coloring, and I threw up a picture here of the different colors I use. These are all Prismacolor, I have them here, Prismacolor Premier, and they're watercolor markers. They're pretty good. They're really good actually. I really enjoy them, and they're a little bit cheaper than the Copics. Copics tend to go really expensive, so I don't have a ton of money to invest in this, so I use the Prismacolor ones, and they're pretty cheap. I don't have a full set. I buy them as I go. I test new ones and such, and I really like the one all the way on the far right, as you can see there. That one's really good, and yeah. And then I go back and I add some different colors, and I get the tones and stuff for the hair by mixing the yellow and then the kind of beige one right before it. Next, what I'm going to end up doing is moving on from there. I like to give it a little bit of time to settle before I move on to the next stage. And these are also Prismacolors, but they don't say what they are, and I don't remember what they are. But they're Prismacolor, and they're also watercolor, but they have just a different shape. I threw up the image there of the different ones that I'm going to be using. The gray one is one of the Premier markers, but I won't be using it until later to fill in like the metallic parts of the belt and all that stuff. I mean the little sash belt thing he's wearing. And I enjoy using these watercolor markers. I'm not very good at watercolors, so I'm learning. As you can probably tell, I'm pretty terrible at it, but I'm getting slightly better than I was at the beginning. And lastly, here's the last set of markers I'll be using, and these are not Premier or watercolor markers. These are called aqua markers from Letraset, and they're water-based twin tip markers, and they're pretty good. They've lasted quite a while, so if you see them in the stores, they have pretty good last. I mean, I use the green one all the time, and I use the light green one all the time, and that brown one that you see there, I also use that a lot. The bottom one is newer and it has a different look to it, but I mean, they can last for quite a while, so I'm very happy with these as well. And again, I just buy different types and different brands to see what they do and how good they are and how they mix together. I don't buy a huge 200-piece set. I tend to buy the 6-piece sets because they're much more manageable. They're like bite size in terms of how much they cost compared to the huge sets. So I can buy a 6-piece set and then see what I'm missing, and maybe buy one or two um, of the other ones, of the Prismacolor ones, and to fill in and do from there. Now what you notice is I decide to put a light in front of my green arrow, my Oliver Queen here. And I like to do hard lighting, which means that you get some ambient lighting coming from behind him as well. And you get like a very hard contrast between the ambient lighting behind him and the lighting in front, which creates this. So I went over with a brown because it's a very soft shade. And then when I go over it with this dark green, what ends up happening is it gives it a much darker tone. So it looks like this leather or whatever he may be wearing is reflecting and has some cast shadows and some really dark shadows. And then where there's no brown, the shadows are mixed, and then eventually they clear up to the light greens. And now I'm going to go over it with the jelly roller. It doesn't really come up on this paper. This paper that I'm using is not that great, but whatever. I thought I would try the sketchbook. But the jelly roller isn't very good on this paper. If you have a tone tan or tone gray sketchbook, the jelly roll white pen really helps to make the image pop out, especially in those areas of reflected ambient lighting. It works out very well. So I'm just going to go over that real quick. And also something I've been doing recently is adding some geometry in the background, just because it helps the image pop. So what you'll notice is I get out a little trusty ruler and just create a simple shape. Remember, when you're throwing geometry in the background, never to throw it on a parallel line, always to throw it on some other line or some other surface. So I'm never going to put it right against the edge of the shoulder, always a little bit inward, and not against the edge of the face, but rather somewhere in the middle. This way the geometry really pops out and the image still looks like it's not part of the geometry. And then again, I go over that boundary right there with the white pen to see what it looks like. So coming up here, you'll be able to see the finished product. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be making a few more of these. I think I'll make one for every couple of sketches. I'm not going to do every sketch this way. Anyway, thanks for watching.